I got caught. I know the producer's going to be on my case. Hey, it's Monday night. It's the time. It's time for the dialogue. It is Dialogue with Dozell. So glad you're here. You got one of the hosts. I'm DV Dozell. I am Dozell of Dialogue with Dozell. Thank you, everybody out there in Dozell land, our faithful friends. KV's not with us tonight. We'll talk about that in a second. Thank you for joining us tonight and helping make the dialogue work. First thing I want to tell you is, well, okay, so let's deal with KV. KV has been on special assignment the last 6 weeks or so that manifested into a national story, and I won't steal his glory. Jacksonville folk know about it. Maybe some others may know about it also. But, wait a minute. So I got this hat tonight. There's a particular game that's going on tonight on TNT. And so I'm adorning my Heat stuff, but Madam Producer told me that just doesn't look like Dozell. So I'm gonna flip it around, but just so you'll see, it commemorates the 2012, the 2013 NBA championships won by the Miami Heat, who is taking a giant step towards that tonight in Game 7. We're gonna talk about that later. And I'll give you updates on the score in the second half of the show. Right now, as I was saying, your boy KV is a part of a national story. He has a plum opportunity. He's doing some great things, and we're going to get him on and talk about it in a week or two. And maybe we can even get the guest of honor to come on and talk about it. Tonight, we're going to, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I'm going to highlight, give you the order of the show. We're kind of like to keep a little mystery going. But tonight, we're actually going to, we're going to start out by talking about Asian Pacific Islander Commemoration Month. And then we're going to talk about the debt ceiling that a deal is hanging in the balance. So we'll know more about, talk about that. I need your dialogue on this Hot Button Monday. We're going to commemorate this holiday. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. We're going to look at what kind of day it actually is, and we'll determine whether or not it's a day of happiness. And we're also going to, let me move. It is in the way of this camera, and I've got to get it out of the way, okay? All right, there we go. And we're also going to talk about, it being Mental Health Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and thankfully, it has been changed that we commemorate it for an entire month. And we're going to have that celebration and talk about that. And then on the remaining segment of the show, we're going to talk about this Game 7 that's taking place tonight that's got me wearing this hat tonight and this outfit. See it? Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat. So that's what we're doing. Dialogue with Dozell in the right place at the right time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, YouTube and Facebook Live, soon to be Twitter Live. Dialogue with Dozell. Listen, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead right now and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that subscription button right now. Subscribe to Dialogue with Dozell. If this Dialogue with Dozell, if this is your place to watch it, then do it, because we understand you can see it on TV, so we understand that. But if you're on Facebook, then the show only works well if you are giving us comments in the comment section. Okay, I want to thank all of my co-hosts. On last week, we were supposed to do stress, dealing with serious stress. We have a mental health professional. That show at the 11th hour, the guest had a patient issue, in fact. So that the guest had to deal with that. And so Janice, who was hosting the show that night, last week, they opted. So that's going to be next Monday night. We're going to do that next Monday night. So thank you, Janice. I want to thank all of my co-hosts. Pastor Burrell was on a few weeks ago. I have had an extensive travel schedule, and it kind of continues over the next month or so. But thanks to GoGetGoodCreations.com, it doesn't matter. They'll pick me up wherever I am on the planet, and the dialogue will continue. But the dialogue does not work without you. Thank you for checking in. The other thing I want to talk about, I know I get in trouble with Madam Producer about this. It's water, so in a clear glass. Hope we don't break it. The other thing that I want to talk about is this is year 3 of Dialogue with Dozell. Yay! We share some streamers and things going. I didn't tell Madam Producer about it before here, but this is the 3rd year of the dialogue. Right here in this part of my studio, sitting on this couch, I picked up a Facebook Live camera and simply turned it on and just talked about a multiplicity of things in the heart of the pandemic. George Floyd, the demonstrations, the pandemic, the isolation, the loneliness, the working at home, all of those things were what we talked about. And I just did that because I had been seeing people go live, and I said, okay, I'm gonna talk. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. People, we had a massive number at that time. As the world opened back up, and understandably, people, TV programs and everything, people started kind of going back into those things, going back, being out on Monday nights. They'll pick the show up later on at night, or later on in the month, in the week rather. So Dialogue with Dozell, we went and we celebrated the next year in Jacksonville. This shows a connection because of the attachment with my brothers, Jacksonville and Fort Lauderdale of South Florida. And Kim and I, we celebrated on year one, 2021, at a local restaurant there in Jacksonville in front of a live crowd. We had a great time, The next week, this was in June of 2021, the next week, Madam Producer and her outstanding team at GoGigaCreation.com put together a compilation of our shows for that year and a half. And we kind of commented on that and made it a compilation show. So it was the next week after the live show. And they have kind of done that when she and the Go Giga Creation ladies have done takeovers of the dialogue. They've done various video collages, and it has just made for an exciting watching. So we just thank all of you, every one of you, for making Dialogue with Dozell a part of your normal Monday night, or whenever you watch it. The evangel watching, of course, on Monday night is that you get to participate in the show. You get to actually make comments while the show is going on, and while the show is going on, then we can respond to your comments, and we thank you. We thank you for that. Okay, so we're going right into the show tonight, and we're going to we want to talk about one of the things that this nation has made a part of its heritage, a part of its celebrative calendar. We celebrate several nationalities, several different people, groups of people that help to make up the United States population. And we're going to start tonight with honoring our Asian and Pacific Islanders tonight. We're gonna start out by celebrating them and their great contribution to society. And I don't want to just slide by this. I want to have the accurate information. I'm pulling up my research that I had earlier. An Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we're grateful to say that it is in fact a month, and that's what we are celebrating. That's the dialogue was going to take time out tonight to celebrate this night. And I was trying to go back to my, here we go. So Asian Pacific Heritage, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And you know, there's a multiplicity of resources that you can look at. It has been officially changed as of 2009 to Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, Asian Pacific Island Heritage Month. And that was done in 2009 under President Obama's administration. It was a commemoration that actually began back earlier, and it was signed by President Herbert Walker Bush over in 1990. President Bush allowed Congress to extend what was then a 1 week celebration to a 1 month celebration. I know I could say why it took so long Black people to get Black History Month moved from a week to a month. Why did it? But no, we're going to celebrate this tonight. We celebrate all of our brothers and sisters for their contribution to America's culture, to the history of America, to the labor of America, to the joy, entertainment, and everything that makes up American. Our brothers and sisters, and I just want to call out some of our well-known Asian American Pacific Islanders. that we know of. First, I think it's fair that it's only due homage that we note our own Vice President of the United States, Ms. Kamala Harris. She is Indian from the country India heritage. Her mother was, and we celebrate her. She has risen from being a prosecutor to a state's attorney general to a U.S. senator, and now she's the vice president of these United States. And we salute Ms. Kamala Harris for what she does. She's mixed, and we're just so grateful for what she has done and what she has meant to the culture. Madam Producer, next one, and then we celebrate. Many of you all know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The Rock is he's, everybody knows him. The ladies, of course, you all know him. He's well known. He's a South Floridian. He played college football down here at the University of Miami. The Rock ventured into at the end of finishing up or the end of his playing career at the University of Miami. He went to the Canadian Football League and made an attempt, and that attempt didn't pay off too much. He didn't get many opportunities in the National Football League, so he tried professional wrestling. He is a descendant of professional wrestlers. His daddy was called Rocky Johnson. I used to see him. My brothers, our dad and I would go to the Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Coliseum and see The Rock on Thursday night, see Rocky Johnson on Thursday night. He was one of the few black wrestlers that we had at that time. And lo and behold, he became a civic official down here in Davie, Florida, where the family settled. The Rock started out with the WWF. Later, the company was named the WWE, and he was one of their highlighters. We just saw, I can't think of the name of the network, just who does the wrestling specials on Sunday nights, just showed how it was put in his hand when Stone Cold Steve Austin basically consented to give the championship up to The Rock, and he pushed it to the exact limit to movies where he is now a movie star. He's a superhero. He's an action figure, and he is a citizen of South Florida. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Little story about The Rock. When I would get off from work, when I was teaching school, a PE teacher, I go to the gym. And oftentimes I'd be working on one end of a set of weights, and The Rock would be working on the other. I won't tell you who picked up the heaviest weights. You already know that, right? Yeah, okay. And one day, one of my friends who was there with me, who's an official in the school system, said, "You know who that is? That's The Rock." I said, "I know he's in here quite often." He said, "Yeah, I know. Trying to get him at the school, man." I said, "Yeah, just don't bother him. We speak. He wears a hat down over his head, so that's going to hide him." But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has made millions and millions, and who is a prime actor in Hollywood today, if they get over the writer's strike. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's also from the Pacific Islands, the Tahiti Islands, is where his mother and all of his ancestors, uncles who wrestled before him, and that's what propelled him to his stardom. Thank you, Madam Producer. Slide the next slide up, please. And we want to recognize Richard Louis. I am a fan of broadcasting, and I am a broadcast. I was a speech major, kind of moved it over from broadcasting to speech, but same in the communications field. Richard Louis is currently an MSNBC reporter who hosts weekend shows. So he does the weekend news over on MSNBC. He recently wrote a book that chronicled the journey of his mother, who I think it was Alzheimer's. And there was a special on the network this weekend. In fact, you can pull it up probably on demand, where he talked about that journey of living with a parent who has, or any loved one who has Alzheimer's, dementia, or all of those brain altering diseases. And Richard Louis is a man of just optimal integrity, and you see often during the news breaks on Politics Nation with Reverend Al Sharpton on Saturday and Sundays. He is another contributor to this nation. And you just see the vast story. Our next slide, we've talked about the vice president, we've talked about an entertainer, we talked about a broadcaster. Our next slide is Tiger Woods, and another athlete. Tiger Woods' mother, who still lives, is a Asian Pacific Islander, and Tiger does not shy from from that side of his heritage. We don't hear him talk a whole lot about the other side, but he talks. He does not shy from that. And Tiger, as you know, 5-time Masters champion, who's right there in the tie with Jack Nicklaus for the most PGA Championship tournament victories. Only unfortunate is his body started breaking down, and ultimately a car accident several years ago that has severely limited his abilities. Still, he has demonstrated a lot of character to a lot of us, in spite of, I'm not going to gloss over his off the course issues, but he demonstrated a lot of character to us in last year's Masters, as you saw him walking with those legs that one of them had been put together many times through surgery after that accident. Was legs were pinned in the car 3 years ago, I think it was. And he, on the pro tours, they walk from hole to hole, and they don't ride, they walk. And he was walking, and finally, mercifully, he withdrew. And we'll see him later. Tiger Woods, he has given many young men, particularly in our neighborhood, he has lifted young men in our neighborhood. And we just want to applaud Tiger Woods during this commemoration. Is there one more? Yes. And of course, we're going to be talking about him in the second half of the show. Coach Eric Spoelstra. He is the head coach of the Miami Heat, and he has instilled character in a group. He has a team that has 2/3 of their roster were non-drafted, and here they are, 48 minutes from going to the NBA Championship Series. Coach Eric Spoelstra was given the reins by the Godfather Pat Riley of the Miami Heat in 2011, I think it was, just prior to the LeBron era, and LeBron and D-Wade in Chris Bosh era. He went to the championship 4 years, won 2 championships. He has been to another championship the year of the pandemic, 2020, in the bubble. His team were overachievers, and they made it to the championship series. They were the 8th seed. For you all who are not aware, that's the last seed. That's the last position you can be in and get in the playoffs. The Heat were the 8th seed, and the character and the fortitude that he has put in them has led this team to a Game 7. Now, they won 3, and all they needed was win 1. They lost 3 games in a row, and it's come down to this Game 4. We'll talk about that later in that last segment. But Coach Eric Spoelstra, another South Floridian, another Asian Pacific Islander who has made well in this nation and been a great contributor. His character sets a role and a standard for many of us. So we're celebrating Asian Pacific Island Heritage Month, and we're so grateful that the dialogue has pushed this. We've not talked about it much all month. It's a month-long celebration, but we want our fans and our audience and people, good-spirited people, to know that there's a whole lot that our brothers and sisters from these areas have contributed to help make America the melting pot it is, the great nation that, in fact, that it is and can be even greater. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling. Originally, June the 1st was the cutoff date that the Secretary of the Treasury set, that the Congress would have to pass a bill and the president would have to sign it to keep the debt ceiling. That means that America's pledged to pay its bills to all its debtor nations and all of its creditors. And because of the wranglings and the craziness that has gone back and forth, much of it that had to do with the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, it took him 15 votes to obtain that position, right? And he was held hostage by the MAGA, or the extreme, you can just say the crazy wing of the Republican Party. And one of the things that he had to concede was that the debt ceiling, there would be drastic, inhumane cuts made in the budget in order for us to pass this debt ceiling. Now, the ramifications of America not passing the debt ceiling is that the economy, which is already, I think, is being massively handled in spite of coming out of a pandemic. That's another conversation. But a lot of people are pointing fingers at Washington because of the economy. Our economy is the strongest in the world coming out of the pandemic, and our recession is lower than other nations. Our unemployment is lower than other nations. We have massively handled that. Not passing the debt ceiling would put America in a position where the economy, already on the verge of being fragile, would essentially crumble. That's right. The economy would crumble, and mom and pop businesses would be in a world of trouble. Federal employees, the U.S. Payroll for federal employees, and it will eventually trickle down because many state and local governments get monies that are filtered through the states to the local government from the federal government. And all of these would be problematic. And it was the intention of this Republican group back when they voted on the Speaker of the House to hold America hostage. And we have been here before, and we have decided to do the right thing. And so the Secretary of the Treasurer extended the debt ceiling for a decision made as opposed to June the 1st to June the 5th, which still puts it dangerously close of a default. The former president, the guy who has the twice impeached, indicted under several other investigations, that guy say let it default. Well, if it default, the economy would just crumble. So what has happened is that over the weekend, President Biden, along with the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, hammered out what looks like a bill that's going to be viewed by the House of Representatives. That crazy wing of the House is going to view it, and they're all going to view it and debate it and vote on it, hopefully on Wednesday, so that hopefully by Friday, it would have been voted on by the Senate and ready to go to the president's desk for approval. That's the debt ceiling. Now, I don't know how you feel about it, but some things you just don't play with. Your credit, for those of us who have worked to have any measure of decent credit, we don't play with our credit rating. We don't take chances with it. We don't take chances with things that make our life comfortable or make our life acceptable. That doesn't put us behind the eight ball. And we are praying that Washington doesn't do this. That Wednesday, tomorrow, all of the debates, they have been talking about it all throughout the weekend after it was made. There were concessions made on both groups from what's leaking out of Washington. The president made concessions that he had hoped not to have to make, and some of the things that the Republicans were seeking to get apparently didn't all happen. So both parties came with willing hearts for the benefit of the American people. And when will we get back to that? When will we get back to America? Let's not be so partisan about things. Let's be American. I just looked at all these Memorial Day events and celebrated how great it was that there was no black, no white, there was no Republican, no Democrat, no rich, no poor, no North, no South, no East, no West. We were just Americans. And I think we need to get back to that. Today I looked at some of the 9/11 commemorations and looking at these specials on Giuliani, and how there was a pride, or there was a coming together of us as Americans. And hopefully Congress prayerfully is going to do the right thing, so we don't have to experience defaulting on our credit line to our debtor nations. How would you like America, the richest, the most powerful, the most intelligent nation on the face of the planet? Well, I won't say intelligent, but the most advanced technologically advanced, even though others are creeping up on us. We're the most advanced nation. How would it look if we are humbling down because we couldn't pay our debts to other nations? Like to hear from you. We got another couple of minutes to talk about this debt ceiling and kind of talk about politics as a whole. Ron Despicable, the governor of Florida, has finally come out and declared his run for the 2024 presidential nomination, Republican nomination, and expressing his desire to be president of these United States. What's funny is that before his coming out, he did not, he never called the former president by name. And even his implications of criticism towards him were lessened. But now that he's come out, he's taken off the gloves and he's calling him by name and he's saying all of this stuff. How hypocritical. I just hope and pray that we don't have to deal with him and nowhere near the White House, nowhere near our decision making, nowhere near things that matter to us. I was in a conference last week and where we reviewed the bills that came out of Tallahassee. He orchestrated the most non-minority friendly Congress or session in the history of this nation, in the history of this state. I cannot imagine that in the days of the Civil War or prior to that, that this state could have had many more laws that were worse towards minorities than what he did. He attacked voting rights. He attacked poor people. He attacked the education. And we had Dr. Bracy on a few weeks ago, and she talked about these educationally vouchers. It is a all-out attack on the public school system. So many of us were educated in public schools. Hey, it didn't turn out too bad. And it's not about curriculum, because in these private schools they can teach whatever curriculum they want to. He does not tell them you cannot teach Black history. You cannot teach about George Floyd. You cannot. The young lady who gave the poem at President Biden's. I know you heard about that last week. One parent complained about that in Dade County, and that poem was pulled from classrooms in the state of Florida. One parent. Okay. Those things are horrendous decisions, and it has been accepted. You've been unable to give cold water to someone in line voting, but now they have basically tried to nullify the efforts of third-party voter registration teams. So it's all about suppression, and this guy wants to be the president. With the power of the presidency, and with so Florida, I don't have the demographics on it, but there are states where white supremacists, neo-Nazism, and other anti-American and anti-unity forces are in great numbers. And this governor, if he's in the White House, he will only energize them purposely or unintentionally because of his policies and his mindset. Stay away from Ron Despicable. Okay, we're going to break, and we'll be right back and talk about some other things. This is Hot Button Monday. It's only a hot button if you hit that button. Hot Button Monday. Dialogue with Dozell. See you in a bit. GoGigaWorld.com, GoGigaWorld.com, GoGigaWorld.com. They are the producers of this program, and they are the ones that will make you look good in all of your virtual or web, any kind of digital needs. they're able to make it work and make it happen for you. GoGeekItCreations.com. Latoya, and company, they will make it work. They'll make it happen. You see their address, you see their web address. Contact them, Latoya, and Mateo. They will make this thing happen. And please forgive me. I'm just having this brain stoppage. So y'all work with me on this. Listen, we want to talk about the day that we're celebrating. Many of us are off from work today. The day we celebrate Memorial Day. Memorial Day is celebrated in these United States on this date, on this Monday, every May, on the last Monday in May. Memorial Day originally began in was commemorated from 1868 to 1970 on May the 30th. And then since 1970, it has been celebrated on the last Monday of May, the last Monday of May. Now, for those of you who have kind of get it mixed up about what's Memorial Day and what's Veterans Day, which is over in September. Memorial Day, let's say September, November. Memorial Day is a celebration. It's not a celebration. It's a commemoration of those of our brothers and sisters who lost their lives fighting for freedom as Americans in foreign wars or in wars. And in every war that we have been a part of, we have had casualties. And so we commemorate those and we salute them and their families and their loved ones. Last night, I got an opportunity to watch an awesome tribute on PBS. I haven't been able to pull it up on demand, but it's called the Memorial Day Concert. It was hosted by the actors Gary Sinise, and I cannot think of the other guy's name, but it was an awesome celebration, awesome hour and a half celebration. Your boy don't give over too much to the patriotic stuff. I love the country. I'm blessed to be in this nation, but I wouldn't be going out. But I certainly appreciated that celebration on yesterday. And if you can pull it up and if I find it, I'll tell you about it. Markia, it just came to me. I'm sorry. Go Get Your Creations is Markia Latoya and Company. And we have an intern on with us tonight. Her name is Alice, and we celebrate her. Yes, that's it. Thank you, baby. We're so grateful to you all. So Memorial Day celebrates, and it gives us the opportunity to put our arms around. It gives us the opportunity to put our arms around the remaining loved ones. And loved ones still remain, even from World War II, from the Korean conflict, certainly from Vietnam, a conflict that I missed by mere weeks from having to sign up for, and also for the Gulf War and then Operation Desert Storm. And so we celebrate. In fact, no, we salute you. We salute families, and we thank you for the ultimate sacrifices that you made. I knew a young man who grew up in where we grew up at the boys' home in Jacksonville. He was an athlete. He was recruited. My dad signed for him to prepare for the Olympics by an Army Olympic trainer. And he was drafted. He went to Vietnam. He was shot. Thank you, Steve. He was shot, brought back to the States, recuperated. His first day back on the battlefield, he was killed. And so his name was Stephen Bourne. And we salute him and all of our veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we enjoy in this nation. I'm so glad to see my friend Steve Thomas on tonight. And thank you. Thank you so much. I know where you're going. While we disagree on a number of issues, we do come together on that one. All right. Thank you. Now, before we move on and talk a little bit about this Game 7 that's taking place right now in Boston, I also want to talk about the other commemoration that takes place in this nation in May, and that is mental health. Mental health. We also, Steve Thomas, for you all who didn't know, That's my brother, and he was one of our very, very first. Can you put the green poster up, please? He was one of our very, very first, guest hosts, and we just appreciate him for being a friend of the dialogue, and thank you for being with us tonight, Steve. So, mental health awareness month is commemorated in this nation. And I'm trying to get back to where I was on that. It is commemorated in this nation, and we take the time to talk about it and give it its due. It has been observed in this nation since 1949, and it has received the additional attention as we have lost people to mental health and mental illnesses, and some of the effects of those. And that poster is, well, let me see. Let me pull it up in another source so I can kind of, because it kind of tells a whole lot of what we're doing there. It says that 1 in 5. This is up to date information. 1 in 5 adults experience mental health illnesses each year. And what I really want to say is, I've had several surgeries. I'm an athlete. Walking funny now, with some of these arthritic knees and all of that stuff, but that's a different story. I've had illnesses, sickness. I'm a prostate cancer survivor. I'm winning the war against diabetes also. And just like for those conditions that I go to the doctor quarterly on for checkups, for treatments, mental health is the same thing. It's the same as having a mental or having a physical illness. And it's something that we cannot be ashamed of. Just like you're not ashamed if we have a broken leg, you're not ashamed if you have an illness that you did nothing to happen on its own. Mental health is the same thing. It needs to be treated accordingly. 1 out of 5 adults experience mental illnesses each year. 1 in 20 adults experience serious mental illnesses each year. 1 in 20 serious mental illnesses. And I'm going to talk about some of them in a minute. 1 in 6 youth between the ages of 6 and 17 experience mental health disorders every year. Meaning, if they experience it as a youth, that means that they're very likely to experience it as an adult. Now, to continue it as an adult. Now, here's the thing. We cannot let shame, we cannot let guilt, we cannot let any of these things stand in the way because of treatments and medications, which are being advanced upon every year, and makes it much easier for us to become overcomers. Let me tell you some of the effects of mental illness. Schizophrenia is an effect, is a part of mental illness. Bipolar disorder, very serious part of it, or element of mental illness. Depression. How many people had to deal with that during the pandemic? Okay. And then ultimately suicide. I wanted to talk about suicide the other week, and we put it off to September, which is Suicide Prevention Month. But we talk about bipolar, also manic depression. And we're going to put up a poster of some of those that suffer from those. Manic depression causes people to go on extreme highs or extreme lows. And either one is not where we should be. Well, guess what? Medication and treatment helps in that. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you would, Toy, please put back up the poster of that collage of people who you'll recognize some of them. Some of them I know, some I don't. There's Roger Mudd, Mike Tyson, the guy from In Living Color. Can't think of his name. President Abraham Lincoln, and there are others. It's President Adams, I think that is, if I'm thinking correctly. So Steve says, in fact, that we're speaking about mental health um, as past messages is just a coincidence, I'm sure. Yes. And yes, Steve. It's not. It's just I think it's providential. It's just meant to be because we want to make our audience aware of it. Because if anybody is suffering from that, when we do the Suicide Prevention Month, we want to do something every month, and we want to make us aware of some of the greats in every sphere of American or world life. People who have succeeded in their field who took their lives because of a mental illness, and we want to deal with that. So, if you are having any effects of mental ADHD, how many of our families have not been affected by ADHD? Hey, how many of us have not been affected by ADHD? Okay, and I also want to bring up as he's playing right now, he's landed here with the Miami Heat. Kevin Love. Kevin Love is suffers from depression, and he has been outspoken. Also, Lamar DeRozan, we didn't have his picture up, but two NBA. But I put Kevin Love because he's in fact playing right as we speak with the Miami Heat in this Game 7. And so, if you know someone, if you are suffering from any level of mental health, please get treatment. The day of being ashamed is out the door. It's time to be treated, be made well, and be made whole. I know my brother Steve agrees with me on that, and we just want you to do that. We commemorate those whose names we see. We really commemorate Kevin Love because he's been very outspoken. He and Lamar DeRozan in speaking out about this illness. Now, I want to talk about this Game 7. You see me looking to my left, probably to your right. I'm scoping up, just keeping the progress, probably the first quarter of it. That's right. Let's go Heat. So my partner in crime on this show, KV, Kim Varner, works with Quentin Williams and dedicated to community. And they are currently training some South Florida police departments on diversity training. And with the City of Miami Police Department, the Miami Heat has partnered with them to render this training, and they're here like every month. They have been since 2020, giving training to officers. I've sat in on many of them. We'll do a show. We're gonna bring the actors from that, bring them and the partners in, and let them talk about their training. But the Miami Heat is in Game 7. This is a historic game because in 151 series in the NBA, no team, not nail team, that's how we say it in the hood, not nail team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. The Miami Heat, an overachieving team, jumped out to a 3-0 deficit, a 3-0 lead over the Boston Celtics. The Celtics scrapped back. Got to admit, the Celtics weren't playing like the Celtics. They've scrapped back. Game 6 that was held here in Miami on Saturday night. The Heat, the two stars, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, were playing way below their standards, way below their points, performance, just not getting it done. Nothing would fall for them. They caught fire in the last 3 minutes, and Jimmy Butler put in 3 free throws with what turned out to be 3 seconds left, and it put Miami in charge of the game, ahead in that game, and that was Miami headed. That would have ended the series, would have put them against the Denver Nuggets, who had been waiting for over a week now after sweeping the Los Angeles Lakers. And so with 3 seconds left, Marvin Smart, is that his name, for the Heat, for the Celtics, missed a jump shot. The ball bounced the only place that it could, that a Boston Celtic, I think it's Kevin White, grabbed the rebound and put it back on the backboard as the clock was wasting away. Now, there's several ironies with that. One of those ironies is that originally, when they called that foul against just because I'm watching it, just because I can't think of, well, just because they called that foul at the last second on Jimmy Butler, they put him to the line, they had to review the play, and when they reviewed the play, they saw that it was 3 seconds, and in fact, not 1.9 seconds left. And that's exactly what gave Boston the opportunity, because that ball went in as there were 0.2 seconds left on the clock. And so here we are, Game 7. No one has ever overcome that 3-0 deficit. It had never happened in Major League Baseball until, guess which franchise? You got it. The Boston Red Sox came back in 2004, I think it was, and beat the mighty New York Yankees after being down 3-0. Derek Jeter, former leader of Marlins here, who played with that Yankees team, said he bore that monkey on his back until they, in fact, won the title again in 2009. So now here we are with an opportunity at history, not for the Boston, but to continue history for the Miami Heat, to continue that no one will ever come back from an 0-3 deficit and win NBA series, championship series. This is the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're speaking that that's what's not going to happen. Been some highs and lows. Like I said, the Celtics have played way below their storm, way below their level. The Heat has just played way above. The last several games, they have fallen off and not been there. I want to see what Steve said. That's right. Hang in there, Heat. We got you. Go past my best to Kim. That's right. No to the Celtics. Got you, Steve. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. We just lost a friend who was Steve and I were on the same platoon there in as policemen, and we just lost James Beck, Jim Beck. We call him behind his back, Big Beck. And in a time when race relations and minorities and policemen and all of that stuff was still kind of catching a hold in where we were working in other places in Florida, particularly Central Florida. Lieutenant Beck was more than fair. He was more than fair, not only in those type of things, but you needed time off. You're playing in the Police Olympics. He was very understanding and just a great guy. And so to his family, to his wife and children and grandchildren, and to his brothers, Ronnie Beck, Roland Beck, our heart and our love go out to you. Now, got to get some talk about this Heat. Somebody's got to sign on. Somebody's got to say something about this Heat. The score is currently 14-11 Heat. Jimmy Butler just dropped 2 in. So the Heat. Thanks, Steve. I didn't plan to do that because I could have done a better job, because Lieutenant Beck certainly deserves that. And we love and appreciate it. I'm so grateful. We did a show one night where we talked about the impact of social media. And I just fasted from Facebook during the Lenten fast. I only did the things that was about the brand of this show or the brand of our church. And of course, I do a prayer on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, a brief prayer. I post those and I did those, but I basically I got back off of social media, particularly Facebook. And but there are groups. There's my junior high school group. That's what they call it when I was there. My high school group, but the one that can't be any more appreciative to be a part of than the police group that I worked with back in the late 70s and the 80s. It gives me a chance to and I like Kevin. Kevin is the administrator of that page, and he does a great job of keeping it just informative, light. He got on me when we were discussing politics, and I said, yes, sir, I won't do that. My bad. And I appreciate what you're doing. It has just brought people back together. And we use things like that for those purposes, like what we learn about. We're all getting older, and we're hearing about our brothers and sisters that have perished or whatever. It has just been great. And in fact, Steve and I reconnected via Facebook. So it's not all bad. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you dropping by, brother. Thanks a lot. So let's get back to this Heat. So you heard me say that the Heat, if I didn't live down here or Heat was not a Florida team, I'd still be pulling for them. If my brother's business was not affiliated, I'd still be pulling for them, because there's just something so awesome about what they call Heat culture. I like what Coach Spoelstra said the other night. Coach Spoelstra, who we just honored, the other night, Coach Spoelstra said, when right in the throes of the emotions of losing their game, they asked him, they said, are you guys going to bounce back after losing by such a gut-wrenching fashion? Can y'all bounce back? And Coach Spoelstra said, you know what? Our guys are chopping at the bit. We wish we could go back out there right now. We wish to goodness we go out there right now and throw that ball up in there and play that game 7 right now. He says, I don't know how we're going to do it. That's a leader. He may not have all of the facts, but they're going to figure it out. We're going up there and we're going to get that win. Jimmy Butler, immediately, they ask him the same question. How do you recover such a gut-wrenching loss? He says, well, you consider the fact that the 2 stars of our team only kind of came to life in the last few minutes of the game, and we had the game at our fingertips, lost in the last 0.2 seconds. He said, we're going to start the game out by playing better this week, and we're going to win this game. And I just like the resolve. I like the culture that, of course, is passed down from the Godfather himself, Pat Riley. And Eric Spoelstra has carried that. He was not my choice to be named coach. I think it was 2011 when that decision was made. But he has accolades across the board. He's well respected everywhere. That organization is one of the best ran sports organizations in all of sports. And a lot of people wish they could be a part of what makes up Heat culture. And so I would say win, lose, or draw, but they've gone up there to win this game, and we're going to win this game tonight because of just sheer will and sheer tenacity. Is the other team maybe more talented across the board? Do they have more stars? By the way, 2 of the Heat stars are down. Victor Oladipo is out. Tyler Hero is out. But they have grabbed and pulled next man up mentality has made it possible. And so this Heat culture is going to drive them through the night. And I guarantee you, I don't even want to say if they lose, but I'm going to say it like this. If the result is not what we're expecting, what we're wanting, I guarantee you it won't be because that team laid down. That Celtic team is an awesome team over there. That they played to a game 7 in the semifinal. In the finals on last year. Jimmy Butler took a chance on a 3-pointer, he took a chance on a 3-pointer as opposed to going in and driving what would have been a tying score. He took a chance on a winning score. And so here we are now, game 7 again. It's not in Miami this time. It's in Boston. Leprechauns can't pull this game down. Heat culture. Heat. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat. Yeah, I'm repping the Heat all night long tonight. I'm repping my boys tonight. We're going to come out. We're going to add to this Eastern Conference Championship, and then we'll figure the other piece out over the next few months, but over the next few weeks. But we're going to win this tonight, and we're going to come out of this. Update on the score. It is 18-13 with a minute 37 seconds left in the game. In the first quarter, I wish it was left in the game. In the first quarter, dialogue with Dozell. Hey, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. I'm sorry that we just got to Asian Pacific Island Awareness Month, talking about this month, but I'm grateful for the time producers allotted, and we work together to make that happen tonight. Mental health, we don't just talk about that this one month. It's something that we're going to be talking about for a while, and we'll talk about that every month. What we hope is that by bringing this to your awareness, that is something that's going to be talked about, something that's going to be thought about, prayed about, that somebody you know, and if that person's you, that you're going to push them to get the help that they need to have. Okay, that's what we're talking about. That's why we're pushing that. We celebrate every group in this nation who helps to make this experiment, this melting pot that America is. That's why we can't let Despicable turn it around. That's why we can't allow him to get in office and have the opportunity to turn it around. That's why we're doing what we're doing and advocating against that even now. Next week on the dialogue, we're going to talk about stress, which is a form of mental health. We're going to talk about stress. Our expert will be on next week, and he's going to talk about, we want you to sign on. He's going to talk about all kinds of stress, how to deal with stress, how to avoid stress, how to acknowledge stress, to know what stressors are and know what to avoid, what to look out for. And so we're asking you to join us next Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And stay tuned. We're looking to push this with all the craziness that's going over on that platform with Elon Musk right now. We've kind of backed away, but we're looking to take this show over to Twitter. Hey, tell your friends. If it was back in the day, AM radio DJ, I said, tell Paul, tell Saul, to tell them all at 8 o'clock on Monday nights, Eastern Standard Time. Dialogue with Dozell is on your, can't say on your airways, but it is on your, it is on your network. It's on your Facebook page. Right now, it's on your YouTube page, and you ought to check it out. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dialogue with Dozell, and go back and look at all the past dialogues. We've had some great shows. Last week we commemorated. We showed last week. We went back and looked at a previous show at the last minute cancellation. We pulled up a previous show with a face painter and with a comedian. And I don't think the comedian made it on, but the face painter was very entertaining. And we're asking you just go back and pull these shows up and look at it and just give the dialogue a try. But then when you give it a try, tell somebody else about it. It's the end of the first quarter. The Heat is up 22-15. They're going to be up at the end of each quarter, even the final quarter, and they're headed to Denver on Thursday night for the NBA Finals. Dialogue with Dozell. We want one more commercial from MoreGoGigGetCreations.com, and we're going to sign out of here. This has been a great night tonight, a hot button Monday.